My thanks to Tim Allen, Tim Jandrowski. For those that don't know, Tim does some radio in Milwaukee, and Tim Allen has been his radio name for a long time. So my thanks to Tim for coming on. I haven't talked to Tim in quite a while, as a matter of fact. And I thought that was pretty obvious when I guessed that his son was 17, maybe 18, and it turned out the kid was 24. I had no idea. Had no idea. I mentioned this in the beginning of the podcast, and I do want to get to it real quick because somebody was asking me, when are you getting your vasectomy? And I'm not going to get into the gory details or anything like that, but you asked, so I'm going to make sure you get the answer you're looking for. I had my vasectomy last week. Today is the 8th of October, so I had mine a week ago. And I am more, and again, I'm not going to get into a lot of the details, but I am usually I think everything's going to be okay kind of guy. Like I went into it thinking, yeah, it's going to be painful, it's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to be fine. It'll be just fine. And I have to tell you, it was more painful and uncomfortable than I thought it would be. More so uncomfortable. I know you're going to down there. They give you a shot to numb you and whatnot, and the doctor did that. The surgeon did that, and it's a lot less. Like when I first thought about getting a vasectomy, I had no idea the process. You know, I was doing it because my wife and I are done having kids. That's it. We got 3. We had them in less than a year. We're both looking at 40 right now. We're both 39 years old. And it was like, oh, time we should do this. So I pictured in my mind some like big medical room with multiple nurses and people running in and out like you see on TV. Like I pictured a scene out of Grey's Anatomy or ER. And it was the absolute opposite of that. Like I go to the clinic here and I go in and they take me back. And the first thing they tell you to do is you have to, shave the area before you get in there. And I took care of that. And then you go in the doctor's office and the nurse takes you back and says, here's what you do. You just sit up here, you disrobe, and you put the cover over you, and then the doctor will come in. And, for some people, that would have been really, really awkward. And I thought it was going to be more awkward for me, but it was fine. You lay back and you stare up at the ceiling, and the doctor comes in and he just starts going. He lifts up the towel and he complimented my shaving. I thought that was really strange. Maybe it wasn't. He actually said, nice job on the shaving. I said, thanks, I appreciate that. And then he says, here's the poke, and then there's the shot. And then they start, once you get a little bit numb, then they start going in and doing the actual procedure. And that, to me, was a lot worse than I actually thought it was going to be. So I'm just going to prepare you, if you're a dad or you're going to be a father and you're going to have yourself the same procedure. To me, and I don't see, the thing is, I'm kind of a wimp. I don't handle pain and discomfort all that well. So, like, if I get a paper cut, I miss a week of work. Okay. So yeah, and then the thing is, because if you're built with 2, down there, that has to happen twice. So they go to the right side. And then he says to me, as he's talking to me the whole time, like he has a conversation with you the whole time. So what do you do? Where are you from? Blah, 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 blah. Trying to take your mind off the fact that he's operating on your and your manhood. And, it was just so uncomfortable for me. And it was more uncomfortable than I thought it was going to be. And the recovery process is what I'm in right now. And the recovery process, the first day, like it once it unnumbed, once the lidocaine, I got done with it. I'm like, man, I'm really dizzy. The lidocaine kept me really, really dizzy as soon as the procedure was over and done with, to the point where they say you can drive yourself home. Like it's not like when I had my eyes done, I had LASIK done. They obviously don't want you to drive because you can't see. And for obvious reasons, like your vision's blurry during that 24-hour recovery process. During this, they said, well, you don't need to bring a driver. And I thought, okay, well, my wife took me, and she waited in the waiting room. And when I got out, I'm like, man, I'm glad you're here because there's no way I could drive right now. There's just no way I could drive right now. Like, I was so dizzy and high from the medication down there. Like, they didn't give me a pill or anything. It was just the medication, the numbing. My whole body was numb from it. And then we come home and we pick up my prescription. They gave me a painkiller, and for the better part of about 4 days. So the surgery was on a Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a lot of Monday, but not as much Monday, but a lot of Monday. I laid in bed and I watched TV, and I burned through Cobra Kai, and I watched a couple of movies, and of course the NFL and college football were on, so that was cool. But, what's funny about that is it seems like, and everybody always jokes, you're supposed to get your vasectomy done during the NCAA tournament, right? So you can sit like I did and not do anything for 2, 3 days, whatever, 4 days, and watch basketball. Well, I pretty much watch football and movies, so whatever, it's the same. But I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Like, I sat there with frozen peas on everything and occasionally taking the pain medication that they had prescribed to me. And I felt, because my wife stayed home from work for those days, and I felt like I wasn't keeping up my end of the bargain. Like, I stay home with the babies, so I know what they do when they wake up. And when my wife and I, we both usually in the morning before she goes to work, she feeds them along with me. She'll take care of one, I'll take care of the other. And if we, whoever gets done feeding one feeds the third. But then she's gone all day. So it's like I'm listening to her come up and down the stairs, and I'm hearing babies cry, and I can't really move all that well. And I'm certainly not allowed to lift anything heavy. And a lot of it was pain. Pain management was the entire key. But as a dad, as a guy who stays at home with these babies all day, yeah, I enjoyed the break. There's no doubt I enjoyed the break from being a stay-at-home father with 3 babies under the age of 2. But there were parts of me that felt, man, I am worthless, and I feel like I need to get up and help. And every time I would try to get up and do something, like I said, what can I do to help? And she said, can you fold this laundry? And I said, yeah, I can lay in bed and just fold laundry. And then I put it all in the basket, and I tried to pick up the laundry basket. And you know what? The laundry basket really was heavy. I mean, it wasn't that heavy, but it hurt my body to do, because I don't think I also realized this, how much of your everything when you lift comes from your core, comes from your midsection. So work on that. That's my advice to you. But here we are on day 7. This is the best I have felt. The first day Lee went back to work was on Tuesday. That day was very, very rough for me, and I don't think I was ready for it. And then on Wednesday, my body was really in pain from the previous day. But today I actually feel almost normal. Like, the pain is still there, but it's really, really small. But other than that, I think I'm on my way back to being 100%. And the thing too is, it may hurt during the day, but I couldn't take the pain medication they prescribed me, excuse me. I couldn't take the pain medication they prescribed me when it was just me and the babies when Lee was back at work, because it makes you dizzy. Like, pain medication works, so you have to be careful with that. So you kind of just had to either do ibuprofen or get through it, or it's been a rough couple of days. But you know what? Overall, it's been pretty much what everybody had told me the process was going to be. A little more discomfort early, a little more pain at the end. But other than that, my vasectomy went well, and we're done. These 3 kids, 1, 2, 3. I know there's mathematical equations that tell you there's that 1% of things growing back and all that. Hopefully not. I love my children. I love spending my day with my children, but I'm good. We're good. we are good on all that. So thank you to the person who sent me a message who saw that I had posted on social media 6 weeks ago that I scheduled a vasectomy. And now it is over and done with. And so is the growth of our family. Thanks to Tim Jandrowski for joining me from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And thanks to you for listening to this episode of Check Out My Dad Pod. And if you want to do me a favor, if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple or Google or wherever you're listening to your podcast, if you can please subscribe, of course, but also rate and review the podcast. That helps me grow the podcast to newer heights. So that's what I'm really looking forward to doing next. We'll have another episode coming up very soon with another very special guest, Dad of the Week. Thank you so much for checking it out. This has been Check Out My Dad Pod with me, Mike Wickett. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify. We got a YouTube page. Just search for me, Mike Wickett, on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere you want to find me, I'm there. I'm there for you, all right? So thank you again for listening. Until next time, as always, #FamilyFirst.
Thanks for listening to Check Out My Dad Pod. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and wherever you find yours.
Thanks to the band from Silverman Sound Studios.
And if you have any feedback, feel free to find us on Facebook. Search Mike Wickett Podcast. Or you can send me an email, MikeWicketPodcasts@gmail.com.